Good morning, everybody. This is Sarah Outlaw from Real Food Outlaws and Natural Health Improvement Center, South Jersey, and also 90210 Organics. I'm coming to you today because I wanted to show you how to make some very simple herbal recipes to help you with cold and flu season. I am going to be doing a class on the 12th of September at my office at Natural Health Improvement Center, South Jersey, at 1050 North Kings Highway, Suite 200 in Cherry Hill, on how to stay healthy for cold and flu season. And the following week, I will also be doing a video, or a live video, and class on herbal medicine making for kids. But today, I have some things I have to make, because I have to ship them out, so I had to do that real quick before I take my kids to get some school supplies. So I already made some salves. So you can see these are, if I tip it over to spill out, they're hardening. This is my pain relieving salve, and I'm going to show you how to make elderberry syrup really quickly, and cough syrup, and also a pain relieving salve with cayenne. So first, I have my cough syrup, and I have my recipe up. All the recipes for these can be found at realfoodoutlaws.com. So if you log on to my blog, then you're able to actually get those recipes. And if you want to purchase them and not make them yourself, I sell them through 90210organics.com, and I also sell them through my office. So you can either buy them in person at my little store, or you can go online and buy them there. So the first thing we're going to do is the herbal cough syrup. And the ingredients that I put in the herbal cough syrup are very easy. And what I do is I take all of the dry herbs and I mix them together and I put them in a jar. And then I store them in a airtight ball jar and in my pantry area. That way when I need them, when I need to make some cough syrup, I don't have to keep blending them over and over again. I have them already blended. I just put them in the water and I get them started. It's like making a tea. So the herbs that I use specifically for the herbal cough syrup, which is not shelf stable, so my herbal cough syrup and my elderberry syrup have to be put in the refrigerator. So they can't be left out on the shelf because they go bad. It's almost like a tea, like I said. So they last for about 2 months or so, maybe 3 if you're lucky. So the things that I put into my herbal cough syrup specifically are mullein, or mullein, however you would like to pronounce it, and that is one of my favorite herbs for coughs because it helps to clear mucus from the respiratory system and clear lung congestion. It is one of the best herbs on the planet for clearing your lungs. It's wonderful. So it also helps to prevent and lessen the duration of cold and flu viruses, as it's very antiviral. And marshmallow root is another one that's in the cough syrup. We use that very specifically because it is a demeculent herb, which a demeculent means that it soothes the mucous membranes. So when you're coughing, it's very soothing for the cough. So none of these herbs cure anything. They simply help your body to be able to work properly and your body to be able to heal on its own, which is what we want. Our body has a great power to heal itself, and God gave us that power, so let's use it. I also use marshmallow root for dry coughs because it moistens the passageways of the throat, and I use it in many of my teas as I make them for coughs and other things, for viruses. Licorice root is wonderful. It's been used for thousands of years and it has many documented uses, and you can find some information on it at PubMed as well. It's wonderful for infections and inflammation, and it's also an expectorant. And I am looking at some notes, so if I keep darting my eyes over, that's what I'm doing, because I can't memorize all these things. I use it as an expectorant, and that's why I put it in a cough syrup. If you have high blood pressure, it is said that some people have a little bit of a reaction to licorice root. I've never seen that happen. I've used it with people with high blood pressure on many occasions, and it's been fine, so I don't worry about that at all. I really don't. Thyme is an expectorant herb. Thyme you can find in your kitchen cabinet, probably. You have it as a culinary herb. You can use it just as a tea on its own. If you have a cough or a cold, it has very incredible antiviral properties and antibacterial properties. So you can actually make yourself a tea out of thyme and drink it, and you'll feel so much better. You can also use it as a steam inhalation, so you can put it in a pot of water and let it steam, and then put your head over the steam, close your eyes, and just breathe it in. So I actually have a steaming pot of the cough syrup herbs right here, right now. I also use angelica root. It's warming and stimulating to the lungs and helps to clear up chest congestion, so it's wonderful. And it's also an expectorant, so it helps your body to be able to rid yourself of that mucus and that cough a little bit more productively. Anise seeds I use to break up congestion, and I use for those really deep, chesty bronchial coughs for bronchitis, and they're really, really good. It's a really, really good herb. Tastes really good, and it smells really good. So it's anisette, if you like the smell of anisette. Burdock root is wonderful for so many reasons. I could go on and on about burdock root, but it basically reduces the inflammation and calms sore throat. So if you have that cough and it keeps getting that tickle in the back of your throat, that postnasal drip, and that nasty sore throat, it helps with that. I also use slippery elm bark, which is a pain reliever, mild pain reliever, and it also helps sore throats, which when you have a sore throat and a dry throat, it can trigger the cough and you get those gagging, choking coughs, especially with kids, or if you have whooping cough or something crazy like that. It also is used for bronchial irritations. And then wild cherry bark is the staple in any cough syrup because it is the bomb and we use it a lot. It is in every single herbal cough remedy that I've ever seen. Any really good one anyway. And it helps to calm a cough to the point of allowing restful, cough-free sleep. So when your child wakes up in the middle of the night and they have a coughing fit, if you give them this herbal cough syrup in the middle of the night or any time of day, it will ease the cough within 10 to 15 minutes, guaranteed. It does it every time. People swear by this cough syrup. I have people calling me already saying, is it made, is it made? I make it seasonally, so I definitely like to keep it on hand during this time of year when people start to tend to eat a little more sugar in the fall and the winter, comfort foods, and then going back to school and all those germs flying around. So all you do for cough syrup is you mix up those herbs together. The recipe specifically is on the blog. And you mix the, you make it like a tea. So you fill out a pot with water like this, a couple of quarts, depending on how much you want to make. And then you pour in the herbs that you've already blended together. And then all you do is you bring it to and you just simmer it for about 20 minutes or so. You let it cool. You strain it out, and then you just add honey to taste. You want to add enough honey that it's sweet enough where it's going to preserve it a little bit. And honey, you don't want to add when the mixture is really hot, because if it's too hot, then it will kill all of the antiviral, antibacterial properties of the honey, and the healing enzymes and all of that will be gone. So you want to make sure that it's room temperature, but enough to be able to melt the honey. Then you just pour it into jars and put it in your refrigerator. Make sure you label it and make sure you shake it up. And the dosage, I believe the dosage amount is on the blog as well for that. Let me just double check. I think it is. Yep, the dosage is there, so you don't even have to worry about that. You can pretty much take these as needed because it's like a tea. You can kind of just take it as needed and go from there. So the next thing we're going to talk about is elderberry. Now elderberry is super easy because, let me just pull it up here. I probably don't even need this because I have it memorized. All you do with elderberry is you put some water in a pot, and you can use your Instant Pot for this. It's super easy to do this in your Instant Pot. I'm just going to do it on the stove today because I just want to kind of get it done. But Instant Pot elderberry syrup is really, really fast. You can make it in a couple of minutes. And all you do for your Instant Pot is you just put the water and the elderberries in, any other ingredients that you want, you turn it on, it does its thing, you strain it out, and you're good. I'm going to do it in the pot today just because I feel like it. Not everybody has an Instant Pot, I don't think. So you just take two, depending on how much you're making. I usually make a pretty big batch because I sell it. So I am going to just put 2 cups of dry elderberries. These are dry elderberries. I get these from Frontier. I also usually get them from not Whole Foods. Whole Foods doesn't have them, I don't think. Mountain Rose Herbs is what I'm trying to say. And you just put in 2 cups. I just spilled some. 2 cups of the dry berries. You want to make sure that your elderberries are always sealed and airtight, or you might get little wormy kind of things in them, so just make sure that they're sealed. And then I have a pot of water here that I'm just going to pour them in. And then you turn them on and you let them simmer until they are nice and soft. And then you squish them with the back of a spoon. So you turn it on. So I usually just take the back of a wooden spoon like this and I just kind of squish them so I get all the juice out. And then you can strain them out. And then the other ingredients that I usually put in mine, because I use what's called a supercharged elderberry syrup. I usually use elderflowers and ginger, cinnamon and lemon. And then you do that with a second simmer. So what I'll do is after the elderberries are all soft and I've simmered it on really, really low heat for probably, I usually do it for like 2 hours. I strain it out. I put the elderberry liquid back into the pot, and then I add all my other ingredients to supercharge it. So I use the elderflowers, the ginger, the cloves, the cinnamon, and the lemon. And that recipe again is at realfoodatlas.com. You can kind of see what ratios I'm using. But then I put those in and I simmer that for a little bit longer, and then I strain it out again. I let it cool, and then I add the raw honey in. the raw honey, again, adds its own healing properties. I don't use sugar in mine. Some people use just plain sugar because, like, whatever, it's medicinal. I prefer not to use sugar. I definitely like to use my raw honey that I get from the Family Cow, yourfamilyfarmer.com. That's personally my local one that I use because I can get it in big fat 5-gallon jugs, big vats of honey. So because I make this in high quantities. So elderberry syrup. What is elderberry syrup good for? Well, elderberries are wonderful. There are literally thousands of websites that talk about elderberries. Again, you can go to PubMed and find studies about elderberries. So this isn't just me making things up. It's not my opinion. This is actually true facts. That elderberry can stop viruses in their tracks. So they stop the replication of viruses. So when you take elderberry internally, in a good enough quantity, high enough concentration, viruses don't stand a chance. So it is a preventative for the flu, and it actually helps to shorten the duration and the length of the flu virus. So it's really, really cool to be able to take something natural that grows out in the wild, turn it into a medicine, and use it for your own health. And you don't have to even go to the store, or you don't have to go to the doctor. You can just take care of yourself. This is what I've been doing for years. Ever since I became a mom, I started learning how to do these types of things, and I've been able to keep my family healthy without the use of drugs and surgery all this time, so over 16 years. Elderberry on its own is a very powerful immune booster, and I always combine it with other things to make it even more immune boosting. Elderberry, you have to think of elderberry and echinacea. When people have an autoimmune disease, some people say, oh, you can't use immune boosters because it will mess with your autoimmune disease. Elderberry and echinacea are more what you call immune system modulators. They don't really send your immune system up really high, they just kind of bolster it. So I've never seen an issue with anyone with autoimmune disease having a problem with elderberry or echinacea or anything that's considered a modulator. You don't have to worry about that. So if you have any questions about which is which, you can either Google it or you could always send me a quick message. I'd be happy to help you with that as an herbalist. So they are easy to obtain online. Just get them online, you can order them. And I also add the elderflowers because a lot of times with flu, people have a fever, and elderberries really do help people sweat out a fever. I also use ginger because it's really good for digestion and immune boosting as well. Cinnamon is warming and helps with gastric issues. So if you're having a stomach bug and you're throwing up or having diarrhea, ginger is really helpful for that. Lemon is also full of vitamin C, and it helps fight infections. You can also add rose hips, which is a wonderful source of whole complex vitamin C. So you can actually just add your vitamin C there. I don't recommend taking high quantities of vitamin C that is in ascorbic acid form. I think that is actually harmful for the body. So people that mega dose vitamin C in the ascorbic acid form, they're actually not doing anything for themselves that's beneficial. Unless if you are in an active illness, then adding a little bit of ascorbic acid is okay, but I don't think doing that on a daily basis is helpful. It actually leaches other vitamins and minerals from the body, so don't do that. All right, so my elderberry is sitting in here, and it's actually simmering really nicely, so I'm going to move on to my salve. I have a bunch of salves that I like to make. I make an Amish black salve, which is really good as a drawing salve. It draws out splinters, it draws out bacteria from the body. So if you have something like maybe like a staph infection or cellulitis in the skin, you can use tea tree oil on it, and then you can put the black salve, wrap it, and it will actually draw it out. So it's really helpful when nothing else is working, when sometimes conventional antibiotics aren't even helping for cellulitis. I've seen people with cellulitis have it constantly and not be able to get rid of it. Amish black salve is wonderful. I also make a gardener salve, which is helpful for your fingers. A healing salve, which is an all-purpose salve, which helps for cuts and scrapes and bruises and those types of things. And then I have the pain salve, which is one of my best sellers. I've sold thousands of jars of these over the years, and it's because it really, really works, and because my secret ingredient, which I'm going to tell you about, is Solomon seal. Now, Solomon seal is amazing. It actually is used for arthritis and any type of pain. It helps to actually repair connective tissue and bones and cartilage and joints. So if you're having any tears, if you have a meniscus tear, if you have any knee injuries, you have any sports injuries. My son actually mildly sprained his ankle in soccer practice the other day, or actually I think he actually sprained it at Boulder Field and Hickory Run, and then it didn't start hurting until he got back home. But I use the pain salve on that because it's wonderful for healing those types of injuries. So I use it for any type of pain, and it's better than icy hot. It's better than biofreeze. Anything that the chiropractors use, it's better. Trust me. And it's because of the Solomon seal. None of those products have Solomon seal in them, and that's the best. So I use Solomon seal. I also use St. John's wort, which is wonderful. It helps. It's an anti-inflammatory. When used topically, it helps relieve pain, and it calms the affected area. So it actually calms the area down. Arnica. I'm sure most of you know what Arnica is. So Arnica montana is a wonderful herb. It's for pain, it's for bruising. Arnica taken internally in homeopathic form actually can prevent a concussion. So I always carry first aid kits and travel kits with me wherever I go in case someone gets hurt. I'm the first person they come and see because they know I've got stuff to help them get better. So I use the Arnica montana in the pellet form. As soon as someone hits their head or gets banged up at all, I automatically give them that, and that helps to prevent a concussion. It helps prevent bruising. It helps prevent the blood from coming to the surface of the skin and causing all those bruising and nasty stuff. So black eyes can be prevented, those types of things. So I use Arnica specifically because of its pain relieving properties and to lessen the appearance of bruises on the skin and to reduce that changing colors of bruises and those types of things. All right, so Comfrey, I use Comfrey root and leaf. Comfrey is known as knit bone or bone knit for good reason. It's wonderful for broken bones, sore joints, and pulled muscles. This is another one of the first things I reach for when anyone has a sprain or a broken bone is if I can get to the area, I'm putting Comfrey on it after it's been set. So if it's a broken bone, obviously you set it first. You don't want to put bone knit on a bone that's not set. I know some people would argue with me because some people don't like to go to the doctor even for that, but I like to at least get it set and then put the Comfrey salve on there to really, really help. Okay, so all you have to do with this, and I'm going to just go ahead and let me move this over so you can actually see it. The measurements are on the blog, so I don't have to tell you what the measurements are, but you just put some of each of these on your kitchen scale. I like the old-fashioned kitchen scale here. You just measure everything out. And I just get organic olive oil. I just get some from Costco usually. You're not eating the olive oil, so I still like to get the organic, but I don't worry too much about brand because it's just going on the skin. I just use the highest quality olive oil that I can find for the less amount of money because I don't want to have to hike the price of these salves. I really try to keep them affordable. So you just put a little bit of each of the herb. The other herb that I'm going to use, did you find the cayenne? Yeah, Ava's helping me this morning. This is a pain relieving salve that I add cayenne to, so I'm putting some cayenne pepper in this one, and the cayenne makes it even more pain relieving. It actually heats it up. It heats up the skin. So I use, along with Comfrey leaf, I use Comfrey root. I like a combination of both of those. So you put the Comfrey in as well. Okay, that all goes in. And then cayenne, I always buy, I have everything in bulk. So, put a little bit of cayenne. I eye this up, so I'm looking at the measurements. So I just kind of eye it up here. And I have a pot of water ready, a pot of hot water, and then what I do is I put my, oops, it's dripping. I just put this in here, which is I use it for a salve already, another pain salve without cayenne, so it has a little bit in the bottom, but that's okay. So I just put it in here, and I dump the herbs in. You can probably not see it from there, but move that over. Move this over. Okay, so you just pour them all in. Okay. And I have my olive oil. And you pour the olive oil in. I make a lot, so I just fill it all the way up. And you just pour the olive oil in, and then you're just going to let this sit for a really long time. So I turn it on low. Probably, I have an electric stove, which I hate, but because I don't like electric stoves. I like gas, but this is what it is. So I put this in, and I let it go for a couple of hours. And then I strain it out, strain all the plant matter out. And then I put the oil back in, and I add the beeswax, and the measurements again are on the blog. You add beeswax in, and you let that melt. Then you take it off of the stove, and then you can add your essential oils. So the essential oils are a very important part of the salves. So all you have to do is add the appropriate essential oils in the appropriate amounts, and all you got to do then is just go to my blog and see which essential oils. I use doTERRA essential oils mostly. I use a little bit of Young Living. I use Plant Therapy. I sell doTERRA. I don't sell any other ones, but and I use some Arnica depending on what I'm needing. But for the salves, I mainly use doTERRA because those seem to last the longest smell-wise and therapeutic-wise. When I've used some other essential oils in my salves, after a while, the shelf life was fine on the salve still, but I couldn't smell the essential oil anymore. So I really like to stick to a brand that I can actually smell for longer. So that's what I do for that. So I usually just use one of these. I use a bamboo skewer to stir. So you just stir it a couple of times and just let it sit, and then you can go away for a couple hours and then come back and it'll be fine. And that's that. And then once you put the essential oils in, before it cools, you have to put it in your, see it's already hard, it's hardened, you can see. So this is my pain salve without cayenne. You can see it's a little more green and herby looking. So then you can just put it in here. You put the lid on, smack a label on it, or just write on what you want. And then a little dab will do you with these. So all you need is a little bit, and you just rub it on your skin as wherever it's affected, and you're good to go. So that is what we do for the cough syrup. That's what we do for elderberry syrup. And that's what we do for our pain salves. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. I'd be happy to help you. Have a happy, healthy day, everybody. See ya.